Hi, it's that fantasy chick back again on another week, another stream. And we're going to be talking about Loki. First, I want to talk about, just one little bit of news. As you know, this past weekend, Matthew Perry passed away from Friends. Um, it was very sad. My whole timeline was just filled with pictures of Chandler. But everyone was very sad. So rest in peace, Matthew Perry. But other than that, we're getting right into it today. So we're going to talk about it. The heart of the TVA. So, so we start off the episode with Victor Timely coming into. Well, actually, we start off the episode with um, with Miss Minutes revealing the big secret to Renslayer, that she and He Who Remains work side by side. She was the head of his army, the general of his army, and she basically fought his whole war and won the war for him, so that he was the one who remained. And then her thanks for that was he wiped her memory. So never trust the man. You turn your back, he's wiping your memories. What can I say? Yes, it was a lot going on in this episode. A lot went on in this episode. So, so So then, so Miss Minutes basically told her, well, we don't need him. We can take over the TVA, just the two of us. So then it goes to Victor Timely. And then he's walking around the TVA just amazed at everything that he's seen. And then finally, I don't understand why Loki and Mobius didn't come directly after him, because they did walk directly after him through the doorway in the last episode, but for some reason in this episode it takes them 5 minutes to catch up with him. But whatever, he gets acclimated. They have to convince him to go along with them. Once he realizes that they have his temporal loom and he's the only one who can fix it, he goes with them, and he meets Ouroboros, and him and Ouroboros are just in awe of each other, because Ouroboros wrote the guidebook, and he's like, I wrote the guidebook based off of writings by this 19th century inventor, Victor Timely. So it's like, they each they each came up with their inventions based off of each other. So it was like an Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail. So you don't know where it ends or where it begins. So Sylvie, not Sophie, but Sylvie, convince them to stop fangirling over each other and get to the matter at hand. Found out. Oh, you found out about Renslayer when you was on Google trying to remember the characters? Everybody at the TVA got their memories wiped. I'm guessing this includes Mobius. This includes everybody who's on that little board. The woman who went and who blew up all the timelines. The woman in the wheelchair. Everybody got their Hunter B-15, everybody got their memories wiped. So everybody who works in the TVA got their memories wiped at that point. It's that Ouroboros timely interaction. It was crazy. Yeah. So yeah, so they realize that Ouroboros takes him through the plan to fix the temporal loom, and he was like, we have one problem. The little thing they need to do to put in there is not going to work. And Victor Timely pulls out this thing out of his bag. He has just the piece to make it work. They have to work together to get it working again. So they're working together to get it working again. And then he sees what's his face, Mobius, come in with hot chocolate, and he gets so caught up on his hot chocolate, he wants to get some hot chocolate himself. So he gets taken away to get hot chocolate. But in the meanwhile, Hunter B-15 talks to the woman in the wheelchair. I don't know her name. I'm sorry for calling her the woman in the wheelchair, but the woman in the wheelchair. They talk about the woman who was going to blow up all of the timelines, and they basically decided they were going to need her on their side to go up against Renslayer. So Hunter B-15 goes to talk to her and tells her, that she wants her on their side, her and all of her people, all of her Minutemen on her side, and she leaves them behind. But before she can come back, Renslayer and Miss Minutes shows up and gives them the choice to come with them or die. And the only person who decided to go with them was the guy who abandoned them before to become an actor on the timeline. And everyone else was like, nah, I'm good. So they killed them. Like, really? And in the most gruesome way. Like, why does that machine even exist? Who built that machine? Why would you do that to people? It's awesome. It's gruesome. You already have those things around the neck. It's like, there wasn't a more humane way of killing people. Oh. Judge Gamble is the woman in the wheelchair. Thank you. I'm not going to remember that. But for today, Judge Gamble. Okay. So Judge Gamble and Hunter B-15. So Hunter B-15 comes back and sees, thankfully they didn't show it, but the disgusting mess of the bodies all on the floor, and she tries to notify Mobius. Her comms are down, and there's Miss Minutes, and then there's Ouroboros trying to do some. I don't know what he was trying to do on the computer. I don't know what he needed to do on the computer, but he was trying to do something on the computer, and they was trying to do something with the temp pad, and they were discovering that they weren't connected to to the system. So I guess they got on the computer to try to figure out why they weren't connected to the system. And then they saw Little Miss Minutes. And then, of course, there's Victor Timely getting his hot chocolate, and he gets snatched up. So Renslayer and Miss Minutes, you know, they talk to him, and they try to get him to tell him where his machine is. And I have a feeling that he's stalling. He's going through telling them as slowly as possible how to get to the machine or the device or whatever it is that they asked about. And like that's new fear mine after this episode, because no, it was gross. It was gross. I kind of got confused on what they actually was trying to do with all the throughout multiplier talk, throughput multiplier talk. I don't know what that is. Who was this? Are you talking about Renslayer or Ouroboros? Yeah, so he was taking him through, and so they realized that Victor Timely had gotten snatched up, so they split up to try to find him, and Loki and Sylvie try to go, get split up in the elevators because of Miss Minutes. Oh, the throughput multiplier is the thing they was trying to mix with the temporal loom, right? I don't know. All that talk just went over my head. I didn't listen to it because it didn't matter to me. It was just a MacGuffin. It's a MacGuffin. So it really, what it actually does and what the function of it didn't really make any difference to me. It was just the purpose of them having it and trying to get it and getting it, it was them, just the purpose of them trying to put it together and get it to the temporal loom. That's all that mattered. The actual function and how it worked, couldn't care less. I didn't pay attention to it. So there's a lot of Marvel science going on. I was trying to keep up, but man, I didn't even try. Because it was made up science. Why would I try to understand made up science? I'm not trying to I have a hard enough time trying to follow real science. I'm not about to twist my brain into not trying to follow made up science. No. we is not going to do that. So where was I? Okay. So Loki and Sylvie gets mixed up, and gets split up. And as Loki is Sylvie is in the elevator. Loki takes the stairs, and as Loki gets up to the floor where Sylvie, as they both get up to the same floor, Loki sees himself in the past, who had came to the future, who had got sent to the future, and he realizes, oh, it was me who sent me, and I pruned myself. So he waits until the right time and prunes himself, and then Sylvie comes out of the elevator, and he was like, trust me, this will all make sense later. But this is the future that he had came to when he was doing all the time slipping. So this was what he had come to. So this was episode 4. There's only 6 episodes, right? So we're far into it. So we're over halfway into it. So now, there was once Ouroboros and what's the guy's name? Eugene? Is his name Eugene? I think his name is Eugene. Whatever. Once Ouroboros and the other guy realizes that Miss Minutes is blocking their access to the system, they're like, "Oh, we can reboot it, but then it'll knock down all of our safety things, and then people won't be able to do it. It will knock down the magic dampener." And Loki and Sylvie was like, "Reboot the system." So they rebooted the system, and the lights go out, and Bradley goes out to check out what was going on, and then Loki and Sylvie uses their magic on him. And I'm like, I was like, wow. I never really thought about the fact that they did not use magic. And ever since the first episode, it just never occurred to me again. I guess I just didn't think about it. The fact that they have magic dampeners on there, but it's gone now. This feels kind of like the season finale. It did feel like the season finale, especially since especially since this is the future that he went to from the past when he was time slipping. So you'll never be him. Yes. Because, oh my goodness, Miss Minutes, right before she got rebooted, she had to stick one last little jab in, "You'll never be him," to Victor Timely. And then she went to a plain little orange clock. But they use their magic on Bradley. Bradley comes in as Sylvie. Sylvie uses a trick that she used to use in season 1, where she would work through somebody else. So it was Bradley, who was obviously Sylvie, went to get Renslayer, pulled her aside, and then pruned her back to the end of time. So, and then they got Victor, took him back to the temporal loom. They used his aura to open up the doors, unlock the doors or whatever. And then it was, okay, who's gonna go out there with the thing? And first Loki was like, "Okay, I'll do it." And then Victor was like, "No, it needs to be me, because I'm the only one who knows how to use it, blah, blah, blah. If something goes wrong, it needs to be me." So Ouroboros was like, "We ain't got time to argue. Okay, let it be him." So he gave him this quick rundown of how to get into the suit that he needs to get into, that's supposed to protect him from radiation, and then was like, he needs to run as fast as you can, get in there and get out. So he got into his suit. They opened up the doors. He went out, took one step out of there, and bloop, was like he almost blinked out of existence immediately. And that was it for the temporal loom. So they was like, well, that's it. That was our final chance to save not only the temporal loom, but all of these timelines and all of time, and everything's about to explode. And so they didn't know what to do. So they sat there and they watched as the timeline just started, as a temporal loom started exploding and came towards them. And the light got closer and closer and closer. And then it came over them and boom, the episode is over. And I was like, what? They ended it like that, and I sat through all of the credits waiting for an end scene. No end scene, no nothing. They gave us nothing. So we have to wait until next week to see what happened. Oh my goodness. It's going to ask so Miss Slayer not dead. She just sent back to the end of time. Yes. They sent her back to the end of time. Oh, it was so gross. Yes. Radiated spaghetti. Radiated spaghetti. Immediately. He took one step out there, and boom, he was gone. Mobius, what was killing me was after it got him, and the light was getting closer to them. Mobius was standing at the ready like he was gonna do something. He was just like, I'm like, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? You can't run away. You can't run to it. What you standing like this for, Mobius? you can't fight it. He was standing at the ready. Like he was really gonna do something. Like, come on, Mobius. Calm down. Everybody else was just resigned. Everybody was resigned. Mobius was frantic. When everything went nuclear, I feel like it's going to be a major starting point in every future Marvel project. I saw a headline somewhere where someone asked, did Marvel just reset all of its timelines? I didn't read the article. I didn't read the article, but that was what the headline asked. And I didn't read the article because I'm like, well, I feel like it would be doing too much to reset all of the timelines here. Because, like we said, Marvel's happens after this. If this was supposed to reset the timeline, then Marvel should have been be a part of the reset timeline, and I don't think Marvel's is. So you can't have this reset the timeline and then have this timeline reset after the Marvels. It would have been like what happened with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So like when what's that movie, Captain America Winter Soldier, when Captain America Winter Soldier came out and we discovered that S.H.I.E.L.D. was really what's the people's name, that S.H.I.E.L.D. was Hydra, the very next episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. had them all acting like S.H.I.E.L.D. was Hydra. That changed the whole series. And the rest of that season was them dealing with the fallout of S.H.I.E.L.D. being Hydra. So they had to completely reset right after that. Like, the only reason why I went to go see them, because like the very first Captain America was boring to me. But I went to see, so I didn't care about Captain America, but I went to go see the Winter Soldier because I watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I had heard one thing, even though I don't watch trailers, I had heard that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was going to change after the Winter Soldier comes out. And it was going to be directly directly involved with what happens on the Winter Soldier. So I was like, okay, so now I have to go see the Winter Soldier. So because the movie is going to be spoiled for me anyway, because I watched the show. It's either go watch the movie or just don't watch the show. So I went to go see the movie. And then what ended up happening is the show got tons better afterwards. It got so much better afterwards, which was crazy. But yeah. It feel like they did. Don't read anything Marvel now, because till after the Marvels, because they dropping spoilers everywhere. Ugh, yeah. Well, I'm glad I didn't read that article. Only Captain America I liked was Winter Soldier, to be honest. Oh, so you didn't like Civil War? You didn't like Civil War? I like Civil War. I feel like the first Captain America was the worst. Winter Soldier was good, and Civil War was also good. But Civil War felt wrong in some instances because it felt like Tony and Captain America were on the wrong sides. It felt like Captain America should have been on the side Tony was on, and Tony should have been on the side that Captain America was on. Like, it should have been flipped. But other than that, I like Civil War. But Civil War was cool, but I kind of classified those as something separate since they had so many Avengers. Yes, Civil War. I also call Civil War as Avengers 2.5, because the second Avengers happened. Yes, the second Avengers happened. That's what we got. That's why they have the Sokovia Accords, um because of what happened in the second Avengers movie. So yeah, I call Civil War the Avengers 2.5. But yeah, so basically we don't know what this explosion means. We'll find out next week. I don't know. I don't know. This is Loki. Uh, he's died so many times, but he always comes back. He has 2 more episodes, so he can't be dead yet. I feel like I don't know. I don't know. I feel like the temporal loom exploded, but somehow it's not going to kill the timelines. Somehow the timelines are going to be saved. Somehow. But it was Mobius as a kid. Crazy people. People are crazy. um, that's a crazy theory. People are always looking for deeper meaning. It would be too convenient for her to have dropped into Mobius's timeline and made that her permanent timeline. But yeah, so next week we shall see. We shall see next Monday. I did not watch the X-Files this weekend, so I won't be live streaming this Wednesday. And Friday, we're going to be taking, hopefully my technical difficulties will be dealt with and we'll have a video up. Sorry about the technical difficulties this past Friday, but we're working through it and we're really working on getting a video up on Friday. So it will be a Smallville video. So it will be Smallville. So in the meanwhile, I think they all about to wake up in their old lives. That's a good theory. That's a good theory. That would be interesting. In the meanwhile, thanks for watching.